In the aftermath of the July 15th abortive coup attempt by rogue members of the military, mass purges dismissed more than 40% of the Turkish Armed Forces, or TSK. The ranks most affected were generals and admirals. Of the 325 generals in Turkey's army, air, and navy forces at the time of the coup, over 45% were discharged. Along with the compromised reputation of the Turkish military, the purges worried the West of human rights abuses, while NATO was left questioning how effective one of their biggest military allies could now be. Yet none of this appeared to worry the Turkish government.
If we look at the relevant numbers, you see that there used to be 11,000 contractual soldiers. But 2 days ago, that number reached 16,000. That's a 45% increase. After the coup attempt on the 15th of July, the army understood that it could find soldiers easier than it used to be.
Earlier this year, the TSK announced that less recruits were signing up than ever before and launched a recruitment campaign in an effort to pull more men and women in. But on the night of July 15th, nationalist pride was at its historic highest.
That night, civilians acted as if they were soldiers. They resisted against the tanks, jets, and helicopters. The spirit of young people drove more people to apply as contractual soldiers. People now understood that their country is in big danger. So being in the army, wearing the uniform, being armed, fighting against the coup plotters and terrorists has become something to admire, rather than just about making a living.
Meanwhile, brigadier generals were rapidly replaced and colonels were quickly promoted. Others may also return to their positions as investigations into hundreds of staff still being detained conclude. Those who are cleared are offered their jobs back.
The old army members like me have started to submit a petition to the Ministry of Defense, saying if they need us, we are willing to go back to the army.
This all comes at a time when more and more soldiers are needed for operations at home and abroad.
Yet despite that uptick, the reoccurring threat of terrorism, as well as Ankara ramping up military operations in Syria and Iraq, appears to have dampened somewhat that post-coup enthusiasm.
21-year-old Sinan Yilmaz passed all his exams and went to his interview.
Every young Turkish man wants to be in the army, in the military, but certain problems that we have in our country makes people step back. I changed my mind for the same reason. As well, the army gives you an average salary, which is not enough to do what you want. It is not worth it. Of course, you have to bear this for your country, but people also need to care for their families. They have a future. They have a life.
While certain areas still need beefing up, such as Turkey's Air Force combat pilots, the 2nd Army Command, responsible for combating terror in the southeast, border security with Syria, and the current Operation Euphrates Shield, did not suffer much. Yet more changes are expected if controversial constitutional changes place the Chief of General Staff and the National Intelligence Agency under the presidency instead of the Prime Ministry. Natalie Carney for CCTV in Istanbul, Turkey.